Welcome back, first graders. Here is our new assignment. We're going to be working in sculpture. So, what is sculpture anyway? Think about what that means to you as a first grader. Like, what is sculpture in art? And then let's talk about that. So, what sculpture is any artwork that is 3D. And what does 3D mean? 3D means that you're looking at more than one side. So, if it's a painting or a drawing and it's flat, you're only concerned about the front side that you see. You don't care about the back or the other sides. But a sculpture starts to get concerned about more than one side. So if something is really sticking out from the painting a lot, then that might be a painting and a sculpture combined together, because a sculpture means seeing something that's more than one side, and it can be any artwork. A lot of times students think it could be or it needs to be made out of metal, or it needs to be made out of clay, or it needs to get carved, but it can be made out of all kinds of materials. It just has to be 3D. So what we're going to be working today is a clay pinch pot. If you're a hybrid learner, you'll be getting clay with me in class and we'll be making the pot together. And if you're a distance learner, I do have clay available for you to use. And you can just let me know and I will put a bag of clay out and you can follow along with the video on how to make a clay pinch pot. And we're also going to be studying textures and patterns in order to decorate our pot today as well. So I thought it would be a good idea to start off with just some really ancient pieces of clay from all over the world. Many of these pieces can be found thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. This one over here on the right is a Native American pottery, and and maybe not this specific pot, but the idea is that we have pots that have been collected from over 7,500 years ago. Mrs. Samala can't even imagine how long ago that is. It's just mind-boggling. It's a very, very old pot. This is an ancient Egyptian pot over here on the top left. And one of the reasons why we know about ancient Egyptians is because of the artwork that they left behind, the paintings that they decorated inside of their tombs and buildings, the sculptures that they made on their buildings. Paper doesn't usually last very long, but things made out of clay can last for thousands and thousands of years. Just like the pot that you're about to make with me. It can last for thousands of years, which is awesome. And so this is an ancient Egyptian pot over here, and you can see the animals that lived then. Down over here on the bottom, you can see some of their designs and styles. And there's even pictures in some of the buildings that the Egyptians left behind about potters that would use an old pottery wheel where you'd actually kick the wheel. And I've used pottery wheels like that too. Sometimes they're electric nowadays, but I've used the kick pottery wheels too. And this pottery is from Greece. So we have and this actually, thinking about the Olympic Games, this would have been a piece of pottery that would be given as a reward and often filled with olive oil, which was really important food for them and very special. So nowadays, a lot of our athletes are given money or gold medals or something important that way, but they were given olive oil, which is kind of interesting. And then you can see the decoration on the outside of it too. So this one comes from North America, where we live, and this pot comes from Africa, which is across the ocean from us, and this comes from Europe, which also is across the ocean from us. So people have been making pottery around the world for thousands and thousands of years. So what is clay anyway? Most of the time students say, clay is mud. And I would say that's kind of a dangerous definition. So let's make this clear. So first of all, clay does come from the earth. It is natural. And you can see a bulldozer over here digging out clay. I get my clay from down in the cities where they will use big machines like this to go ahead and dig it out of the earth, and it often comes out dry. Then they put in what's called a pug mill and they mix it with water. So here, this is what it comes like when it comes to Mrs. Samala's classroom. We're going to be working in red clay today. So there's iron in the earth. some parts of the earth where we live, particularly in Hermantown, we have a lot of iron in our earth, and so our clay is going to look red. In other parts, like of the world, the clay would be a different color. So clay comes in all different colors, and it's from the earth. So what clay is, it's the smallest rock. So if you took a rock, this is not clay, that's a big rock. These are smaller rocks, which scientists would call pebbles. And then if you crush those pebbles, you get sand. And sand is really gritty if you think about making a sculpture or something, like a sandcastle down on a warm summer day. And then if you take that sand and you break it down even more, you get silt. And silt actually will feel just slightly gritty, and you often find silt along riverbanks and underneath sand. So sand would be on top, and the silt would be underneath that sand layer. And then we have clay. So what clay is the smallest rock that you can find on Earth. It can be any kind of rock, a red rock, a white rock, a black rock, but it's just the size of it. And most people don't understand that. So that's what I'm trying to teach you in first grade here. The size of it is what's important. It's the smallest rock, any kind of rock. That's what clay is. And it feels smooth to your hands. And students often think about mud, but mud can have other stuff mixed in it too. So clay is very special. It doesn't have other stuff. It's just clay. This is what clay is not. We have Play-Doh, which is super smart to use at home, super safe to use at home. Love Play-Doh. It's really great for your hands and for your brain. This is modeling clay over here, and this is often made of like a waxy material, and you can get these like at Walmart or Hobby Lobby or Michael's or Target, these kinds of clays. And then this is Fimo clay, and Fimo clay is a plastic clay that you can actually bake in a little oven. And so it'll come out plastic, and you can work with it when it's kind of wet. And then when you bake it, it gets hard and then it stays hard. So these kinds of clays are actually not with the earthenware clay that we're working with in class. That's not what we're working with. You're not going to use any of these things, but they're super smart ways to work. So earthenware clay comes from the earth. It's made of tiny rocks, and this is the wetware stage where the rocks have been mixed with the water. And this is what we're going to do. We'll start making a pinch pot today. So this is an artist who's taken the clay and rolled it into a ball. And then he stuck his hand in, or excuse me, his thumb in here. He has the clay cradled in one hand. It's not laying flat on the table. That's really important. And to make a strong pinch pot, you want to have a little bit of a rounded bottom. So you're working with both of your hands and not putting that clay down in order to pinch around the edges. And then the next video that I'll post, I like the way that this man has his camera positioned, and so I'll share that video with you next. But when you want to be done with it, you want to have a nice even thickness of the pinch pot all the way around. This is pretty thin. I would watch out for making a pinch pot that thin. It could break. And it's just a little bit harder to work with, harder to decorate. But this is a nice thick clay pinch pot, and it's not too thick, it's not too thin. It feels just about right. So you want to get a nice even thickness all the way around. So what I'd like you to do is watch the next video, and then I'll demonstrate how to make a pinch pot, and then you can move on from there. Thanks for watching, friends. Bye.